Right, welcome back to the Me, Myself, and Hopefully You podcast. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tarek, what you're doing on my screen? It's Wednesday. You're not meant to be here. But guess what? I am. The reason why I'm here is because I thought I'd try something a little bit new, right? What I want to do is I want to do sort of the longer podcast formats on Sunday, getting released on Sunday so you can listen to them throughout the week. And then on Wednesday, I have a shorter one here and there, not every Wednesday, but just have a shorter one. So maybe go back to doing, where I'm just sat here talking and ranting about something random or, talking with someone else, which is what this episode is going to be about. So I mean, let me know if you're interested in that. If you're willing to listen to even more of the rubbish that comes out of my mouth. Although with the interviews, the people that I get on, I mean, so far I've been very lucky. They've come across as really interesting with some great stories to tell. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. I've had some feedback recently, which really meant a lot when I got it, because it was just it was just great to hear that people actually listen and or watch. I mean, if you're listening to this, then you're probably watching it, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're ironing whilst watching it, which is what I want. I don't want this isn't for you. I mean, if you do this, then fair enough. If you sit down and actually watch me, and eat something, then that's great. But this is mainly just for like, when you're bored and you just want something to listen to or whatever, and, you're ironing, or maybe you've got some food, okay, and you don't know what to watch. I have that problem all the time, mainly because I eat all the time. But yeah, and there's not enough TV shows in the world to cover the amount of time that I spend eating. But yeah, so I guess that's what it's for. Anyway, I'm rambling on too much like I normally do. So today's episode is going to be about it's going to be with a guy called Steve. Now I came across Steve, um, and what I found out about him was he was very passionate about London. He loves the city of London, and I've always wanted to explore London. I've never had the chance to, even though I've lived in England my whole life. I've always wanted to explore London. Go see Big Ben, which I have. I have seen Big Ben and the London Eye, but I've never like actually gone and touched it or taken photos. This was years ago when I was like 6 or 5 or something stupid. Like I was really young. So I've always wanted to explore London and just see more of the history, not just Big Ben and the London Eye, but everything else, because London has so much to offer. And so I saw this guy and I thought, you know what? He's passionate about London. He probably knows a lot. Let's go on like a little, audio tour. So and the theme around it, because I'm Asian, obviously, I want it to be as cheap as possible. So basically, this episode is going to be Steve telling me about the places that you can go and the sort of day that you can have out in London completely for free, obviously with some food stops here and there because we all love our food. Where we just and that's where you'll spend the money, but everything else is quite free, and it's just quite interesting. There's a lot of history in this episode. There's a lot of sort of you can clearly see his passion for London, and it was just really nice to sit down. And so it's sit down and talk to him. So it's just a chilled episode. And me and Steve do want to what we want to hopefully do what we said in the podcast. So 2022, Tariq, you are going to London with Steve, and you're gonna have a great day. Or 2021, fingers crossed. Who knows? This lockdown has dragged on so much, man. And we're nearly there. We're nearly there. We've got to be positive. Yeah. Follow me on Instagram at Real Tariq Ahmed. I'm trying to promote as much positive news about COVID. I mean, you can't really get positive news about COVID, but that the fact that then end is there. I don't know if it's nigh. I don't know if it's approaching, but it is there, right? And we got this. Okay. Anyway, I'm rambling on too much. If you enjoyed the episode, please do like, comment, and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. I hate saying that. It makes me cringe every time I say it, but I have to say it because it helps with everything else. So please do it. Even if you don't, even if you're gonna bloody tell me how cringy I am, people tell me this all the time. Rather than telling me, comment it. It's great. But yeah, no, I really would appreciate it because like it gets like, oh, I nearly slammed my laptop. These episodes get like 30 views, which is amazing. But no one comments and likes, which is always sad. I think one person always likes, because I always get at least one, which is always nice. But yeah, make sure you comment, make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel for that amazing content that I'm about to give. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. It was really fun just chatting to Steve, and me and Steve actually ended up chatting for like another half an hour after that about football and all other stuff. So I can't wait to actually meet him in person and go and explore London. Oh yeah, by the way, over the next few days, I will review this new cordial. This is Robinson's Fruit Creations, like the first one, but it's pineapple, mango, and passion fruit. I mean, those are like my three favorite things. I mean, I say that I've never had passion fruit, but pineapple and mango, gotta love it. You can't not love pineapple and mango. Anyway, I'm rambling on again. I need to shut up and just fucking bloody start it. Anyway, yeah, hope you enjoyed the episode. Like, comment, and subscribe. Wait for the video for the passion fruit. Lockdown is dragging, but follow me on Instagram. And yeah, I'll see you at the end. I don't know how to bloody pause this. One. So, Steve, I sort of and just want to explain what we're going to sort of do is that we're going to sort of almost go on a little journey in London. And I want you to just sort of tell me, as someone that's never actually explored London and really wanted to this year, where I should go, what are the good places, how I should get there, what are some decent food places, tell me more about the history, and just, I don't want to be spending a ridiculous amount on something stupid when I can get it a lot cheaper, right? Because one of the sort of connotations around London is that it's expensive, especially for someone from the north where it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So, you know, where do we start? Where we can start anywhere.
Absolutely. And it's, yeah, I think anyone coming from anywhere else within the country, but also anywhere else on this planet, London is one of the most expensive places in the world to come to. And it's when people think of London, they tend to think of places like Oxford Street, Regent Street, all the built up areas, you know, all the shops and all the rest of it. But there is so much more to London than that. And we can talk about the sort of the West End and some of the history of the West End at another time. For me, London is the city because that's where London started. And if you go back to the Roman times, back to AD 50, that's when the Romans hit London. At the time, when the Romans came up the Thames from Italy, they came around the Bay of Biscay and into the River Thames. London was literally just a few hamlets on the banks of the Thames. It literally was there. So they pulled up in their boats, and it wasn't until AD 50 that they turned up that London started. They renamed the place Londinium, and that is when they actually built the first bridge ever to go across the Thames, which is now known as London Bridge. Now,
so
if you've
why
seen
was
London
it renamed?
Bridge, so they called it Londinium. What the name was before, I don't know, but that's what they named it because it had a Roman context to it as well. But the interesting bit was, so the Romans turned up two ways. They came down the Thames in their boats, but also they came over from France to the south coast, to Dover, and the armies marched up and through. But the interesting bit was when they reached this hamlet and they reached the River Thames, they had no way of getting across. So it's almost true to say historically that London has stemmed from the Romans turning up and creating what was now known as London Bridge, which is the first bridge. Now, they created a bridge which was like a pontoon with like lots and lots of boats strapped together. That allowed their armies to get across the Thames and make it to all the places they needed to go to, which we now know as Colchester, which was for the Romans at the time the capital of the UK, and all other places up north. And actually, if you look on a good map now, you'll see some of the Roman roads because they're straight as anything. The main one being the A5. Okay. Which goes from Marble Arch in London all the way through to Wales. So that is a Roman road. There's so many Roman roads, and they'll be the same going up north. And if I think, if I remember rightly, the A1 route, which it is now, is pretty much a Roman road, if you look at that. So the Romans turning up in AD 50 really started London, and London built from then. Now, the amazing thing about London and London Bridge, because this is just one area, where it's situated now is 100 meters from where the Romans actually built it, and it's had many different incarnations over time. And believe it or not, if you look at London Bridge now, it's quite dull. Now, London Bridge is the one which is next to Tower Bridge. So Tower Bridge, which is the one with the raising roads on, you can see from London Bridge. But if you look at London Bridge, the key aspect in the cityscape now is the Shard, because that's right overlooking it. So you can't miss that when you get to London. But what happened was it was a whole series of wooden bridges were built from AD 50 up to and including 1176. And then in 1176, because all these bridges fell into disrepute. Oh, by the way, you know the nursery rhyme, London Bridge is falling down?
Yeah.
It is actually from the fact that the bridge went into disrepair so many times, it became a standing joke. Hence, like a lot of old nursery rhymes, if you look into the origins of so many different nursery rhymes, like Ring a Ring a Roses, That's come from the plague. Once again, that's come from London.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
1665. That's the plague in London. So that's what that related to. So actually walking around with a posy under your nose. So wooden bridges were built up until 1176, and it wasn't until 1176 that they built the first stone arched bridge. Now, the bridge that went across in London then went across from the south side to the north side, but it had houses and shops, and it was completely different to any bridge that you would see today. To the point of which it used to take an hour, because the only crossing going across the Thames was London Bridge. So it used to take them an hour to get from one side to the other because the roads were so narrow. The other part about it, and I know I'm talking a lot about London Bridge, but actually it's got so much history around it that it's been built. The reason why we think in the UK everyone drives on the left-hand side is because the bridge was so congested. To make sure that people could pass, they actually passed a law that if you were going across the bridge, you had to pass on the left-hand side. And it's believed that is why everyone now drives on the left-hand side, because it was back in the 1100s that they had to get the cattle and any horses and any trade going across the bridge had to go on the left-hand side. So all this stuff dates back to then, which is incredible. And that
the horses would be on the left-hand side as well.
Yeah.
They would drive on the left-hand side as well.
Everything had to go on the left-hand side because the bridge was so congested. And the reason the bridge was so congested is because you had all of these buildings all on top of each other. Now, the River Thames itself, which obviously goes through London and snakes out through Essex and into the North Sea, was the source of not just water for London, but it was also used as toilets as well. So the houses and the buildings that were built had their latrines, which all hung over the edges of the bridge. So you had people taking water from it, and you can then understand why cholera, plagues, and other bits and pieces actually happened. But the problem was when they built this bridge in 1176, they built the bridge with so many arches to support the weight of the houses and the buildings, etc. on top. The amount of space for the water to go through was very small. So if you can take what a weir looks like now, so if you just imagine a weir going across a river, going across a big canal or stream or something like that, wherever the water goes through, it goes through as a rapid. Yeah, so it really falls and it really falls. The River Thames was like that all the way through. So if you were going upstream, you were fighting against the river because it was coming through all of these narrow holes where the water could go through. So you were actually risking your life going up and down the Thames with that bridge being there. Now, the interesting bit is there are still bits of that bridge that you can see now. There's a church at one side where the bridge used to go through. So there's two churches, and the churches were built. There's Southwark Church on the south side, and on the north side, you've got St Magnus the Martyr. And in the churchyard of St Magnus the Martyr, you've actually got bits of the old London Bridge dating back to the 1100s still sitting there. So you can actually go and see that.
Oh, okay. So you can still see it, yeah.
So you can still see bits of it there today. Now, also, the interesting bit was the Romans also set up city on the north side and built a massive wall around, which is called London Wall. Now, you may have heard of places like Aldgate, Newgate. There's some other ones as well, anything with a gate on it. And the reason they are called that is the London Wall went through there, and they were positioned where the gates let you have entry into and out of London. So if you come up with it, if you find a London name in the city and it's got gate on there, Moorgate is another great one. That is the position at which the gates in the old London Wall will allow you entry and exit into the city of London.
Okay. There were all the entrances then.
Exactly. Yeah. And there were all the entrances. And there are still bits of that are available you can see today. Not many, because obviously a lot of it has been taken down. But once again, if you're going around London, it doesn't take you long to go, oh, what's that? And it's an old bit of the Roman wall. It's all still there.
So why did the Romans, so were those gates put there in case of an invasion or something?
Yeah, they were there to protect. So they built the wall around the city because it was their city. So that was London at the time. Yeah. It was literally just the city of London. London has expanded over the years out and out. So this is why I love the city of London so much, because it's the original aspect. You've also got there in the city as well, two places, some of the oldest markets. One is a Borough Market, which is right by London Bridge. That is probably the oldest market in London. It's been there since about the 1100s. And on the north side, you've got Leadenhall Street Market, which has been there from about 1200. And Leadenhall Street Market is really famous for people coming up to London because it was used as a scene in Harry Potter as Diagon Alley in the
Oh
first
yeah,
Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So if
yeah,
you
yeah.
go back to that first one where he's walking down and they're going to Diagon Alley for the first time ever, that's Leadenhall Street. So that brings people out.
Oh,
Left, right, and centre. So there is so much history. That's not even talking about the Great Fire of London from 1666, which wiped out most of the stuff inside of the London Wall. So that was as far as it actually went. But actually, the Great Fire of 1666 was a good thing because it actually got rid of the plague from 1665.
oh yeah.
So you had the Great Plague, which was then followed by the Great Fire of London. So actually, one cleaned out the other, if that makes sense. But to that detriment, and that fire went for 3 or 4 days, and it's obviously well and truly
Silver lining was the fact that
the silver lining, absolutely.
You're not saying that it was good that people died.
No, but it was the bit that stopped the plague. Back to Ring of Roses. So it just gives you a potted history of London, but the city of London and the aspect of it. But it was really started by the Romans, and then it's just expanded out over time.
Yeah,
and of course, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So I mean, the amount of credit. I mean, I understand sort of in history how much influence the Romans had.
Yeah.
But from what you're saying here, it seems like London wouldn't have been London without Roman infrastructure and the Romans having that influence on it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is back to the Roman history. And it's, if you just go back and you look at the origins of so many places, the Roman influence has been absolutely incredible. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be in the position where we are today. So yeah, definitely. That's been key to it.
Do you think the reason why we don't sort of emphasize it is essentially, I mean, we talk about sort of the British Empire quite a lot, maybe not as much as we used to, but we do talk about that quite a lot. And it's funny because the most that this country developed and did well seems to have been a time where they were even in charge. It was actually the Romans that were in charge.
I think, yeah, to be honest, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think that the British Empire thing, as it's been talked about, is a more modern thing, forgetting where life actually originated, where the actual proper origins of stuff were. Yeah.
I think we like to have the Industrial Revolution as our origin almost. Like we sort of go, forget the Romans bit. That didn't happen. They were barbaric. And then the Industrial Revolution happened and we all just became great.
But that's all relative because the barbarism of the Romans at the time was at that time.
Yeah.
That was
normal then.
Exactly, be classified as normal then. The Industrial Revolution, that was normal then, and that is just progress. But that progress wouldn't have happened without the Roman infrastructure and the Roman influence in the first place.
Okay, wow.
Building that and making that up and through.
So our journey through London, are we starting it at London Bridge then?
So we're definitely starting it at London Bridge. So once you get to London Bridge, and we're starting it on the south side. So when we're there, we've got Borough
Where's
Market.
That?
So Borough Market is right by London Bridge Station, and it's on the south side. It's on the Thames. Now, Borough Market was originally used by the merchant ships that used to come into London. They used to offload there, and they used to then trade there, right there in the market. So it's one of the oldest food and vegetable markets in London. So if you were going to go anywhere and you like your food and you like your drink, that is the place to go. And the reason for that is the market is still open. Obviously, it's not open at the moment, but it's still there and it's still operating today. And you've got so many different types of food that is available to you, not just to buy off the fruit and veg stalls, etc., but also all of the street market things that have opened there, and that has just become massive. It's a great place. So if you want original coffees, you want original food, original street food, or anything else like that, that is just an absolute place to go. And that is under the railway arches which lead into London Bridge Station on the South Bank.
Oh, okay, brilliant. I mean, food, when you talk about food, that's like money to my ears. That's when you get me. Like, I'm all about history, I love exploring. But what I love the most is throughout the day, getting a coffee, getting a nice sandwich, just getting whatever and eating the food and enjoying it whilst eating.
It's For me, Borough Market also, because it's got that history, is one of those places where you can go and hit the street vendors, grab your food, grab your coffee, and then just stand there and look around in awe,
Yeah.
because you can actually then start imagining life back, let's face it, 1,000 years ago.
Mm.
Because that's what we're talking about. And this is the beauty that we have with London.
You're getting me excited, Steve. I can't wait for the
History,
pandemic to be over now.
the history is all around you. But the bit is, and it's not, if you're a tourist or you're someone coming into London and you're aware of this, you are more alert to anyone that does this every single day. It's much like life. Okay. So in Manchester,
because they're used to it.
Exactly. They just walk past it, but don't
Yeah.
realize it's there. And there are so many artifacts that are still there from these years gone by. You know, bits of the Roman wall from AD 50. It's still standing, but people will just walk past it and not realize what it is. Yeah. Yes. There's on Cannon Street in the city, there's a piece of what's called London stone. And, you know, it doesn't measure that much. It's like 45 centimeters by about 30 centimeters by 50 centimeters. It's a lump of rock. But actually, that was found in London. No one quite knows what it relates to. Some of the history goes back, was it to do with the sword of Excalibur being pulled from it, etc. But this piece of stone, they know, is before 1,000 years old. No, it's before the year 1000. So you're looking at this stuff, but unless you knew where to look, you just walk past it because it's encased in the side of a building, and you can stop there and look at it. And we've got a video on London Visited where we covered it. And it's you're just looking at a piece of history from over 1,000 years old, and it's there. Yet, if you go to America, go to Australia, much more modern societies in comparison to a lot of the places, yet we've got it sitting on our doorstep. It's there, and you just turn a corner and there's another statue.
Historians dream London.
And it is, but there's so much of it that is still there. So if you look at the buildings, you look at the Shard. The Shard has been there for what, 20 years, 15, 20 years?
Yeah.
And it dominates the London skyline. It's beautiful. So when the lights are on, it's really, really beautiful. But yet when you go down below and you're at the bottom of it and you're right by where there's still old bits of London Bridge from 1136, you know, nearly 1,000 years old, or you go to a park and there's actually right underneath the Shard is Guy's St Thomas's Hospital, and within the hospital grounds they've still got an alcove from that original bridge. So because the bridge started getting really narrow for people to come past, it could be quite dangerous. So they built a series of 14 sort of dome alcoves on the edge of the bridge.
What's a dome
so people
alcove?
could then go in there. So it's the best way of describing it. It's height of a person, and you could then sort of walk into it. So it was just a surround and covered, so you could step into it as safety. So the best way of describing it is when you go through a train tunnel, quite often they'll have a recess, and you can stand in that. So if you're caught in the tunnel, the train goes past, you can stand in the recess. That's the same thing that they used to have on London Bridge. There's 14 of them back from 1136, and one of them sits in the grounds of St Thomas's Hospital right underneath. And once again, you're looking at a piece of history that people would have stood in over 1,000 years old, but it's all around you. It's just, it's there. But that ability just to walk and go within a 2-minute walk, sorry, do that again. The ability to walk, and within 2 minutes, you're at another piece of London history, is just amazing, all within the city of London. That's not even looking further out. Another really good place to look at and a good place to walk. We're walking down from London Bridge, go through Borough Market. And as we're taking this journey, we're on the South Bank and we're going down an area called Bankside. So this is on the south side of the Thames. And what a lot of people don't realise is when the tide goes out on the Thames, it relieves beaches. There are beaches which you can get.
Wow.
So you can
even know London had beaches.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you wouldn't want to go and get a bucket and spade out and all the rest of it, because you never know quite what you're going to find from the Thames, although it's a lot cleaner than it used to be. But when the tide goes out, you've got beaches, and you can get down onto those beaches and get right up and close to the Thames, because there's open areas you can walk down and go to. And that gives you some phenomenal views of the city, of St Paul's Cathedral on the north side as you go down Bankside. So you're going down past the old Globe Theatre, once again in the city, Shakespeare. That has been recreated, and there's an area right in front of it called Admiralty Court, and that's the alleyway that Shakespeare used to go up and down to get to the Globe Theatre when he was running late for rehearsals, and it's all sitting there.
You could walk down the alleyway that Shakespeare was.
You can't walk down because it's closed off. They've got a gate there, but you can look at it and you can see it. You've got that. Wow. You're literally just looking at it. You've got another bit. So, you know, in olden times, there used to be the ferryman that used to take, because there was literally just London Bridge to get across. There was a ferryman that used to take people backwards and forwards on their boats from one side of the Thames to the other. There's a ferryman's seat from the 1100s, which is, you would miss it unless you're looking for it. You would miss it, and it's there at the side of a restaurant where they've put it in. But actually, it's the original ferryman's seat from that time, where the ferryman used to sit and wait for people to come past, and it's sitting there. Also on the South Bank, which is really interesting. So if you know you're walking down the street and you have a bollard just to control the traffic and where people are walking, there's actually one on the South Bank, and it's an upturned cannon. So if you think about all the cannons that were used in history, on boats, on ships, and all the rest of it, they've actually taken one of those and they've made it into a bollard. But so many people
just flipped it around.
They just flipped it around, and you can see, because actually it's actually also got shell marks where it's been in the war, or whichever war it was, because I don't know how far it dates back, but it's going to date back a long, long time. It's cemented into the ground, but it's got the shell marks from where it was actually hit, and it's a proper cannon, literally just upturned. And these are all around London. If you know where to look, you've got these pieces of history just embedded there. But once again, if you live or you work in London, so many people walk past, so many people run past, don't have a Scooby, it's there.
That's mad, that.
It's bonkers.
It is.
But it's just sitting there waiting to be discovered. And this is why you can come to London. And all these things that I've talked about are free.
After the pandemic, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, after the pandemic. But all these things that I've talked about are free. They're historical, and they go back thousands of years. But not a single thing that I've talked about, apart from getting food and drink, you have to pay for. It's all.
So we're walking this as well, are we? So we're going from London Bridge. So we're going from London Bridge, the south side, into Borough Market. We're getting a coffee, right? That's the first thing we're doing.
Getting the food.
Getting a coffee, getting a little bit of a breakfast, right? Then we're going to do a South Bank walk, and then hopefully the tide goes out and we can see the
Bankside.
What was that? Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's on Bankside.
On Bankside, right?
Yeah, it's on Bankside. So you've gone past the Globe Theatre as well, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre.
Right. Yeah, and then we're going to see the alleyway. I definitely want to see
the alleyway where Shakespeare used to go through.
Yeah. By the way, I'm making notes for this because me and Steve are going to do this when the pandemic's over.
I will take you. All right. This is a 15 to 20-minute walk. Which really, it's all it is. And we are literally walking from London Bridge Station to Waterloo Station. Okay, on the South Bank. Okay, so we've got to that aspect of it, and now we're underneath the Millennium Bridge. Now, the Millennium Bridge was open for the year 2000. We all know about it because it was otherwise known as the Wobbly Bridge, because they opened it, and as people walked across, it started moving. So they had to close it down and rebuild it. But the reason why this is so significant is you've got the bridge, but literally on the other side of the bridge, as you look straight across, you've got the classic view of St. Paul's Cathedral. So you have St. Paul's Cathedral, which was rebuilt after the Great Fire of London in 1666, because the fire got out as far as St. Paul's. It was pretty much contained within the city of London, but it got to St. Paul's Cathedral. But you've got that classic view of St. Paul's, which has been in various music videos, people dancing on the Millennium Bridge, but you have that beautiful, beautiful classic view going across. And then if you want to, you can actually go walking across and you can go and have a look at the outside of St. Paul's Cathedral. So we're still on the Bankside. We're still on Bankside. We're now outside, and this is where the Tate Modern is as well. So the Tate Modern is an old power station, electricity power station, which they've converted into an art gallery. And most of it you can get into for free. Most of it you can get into for free. If you want to go and see some of the exhibitions, you have to pay for it. Yeah. But once again, in London, to see stuff like this free is phenomenal. Also, best time to do this is not only when the tide is going out, but if you can do it at dusk. So as the sun is going down on a nice clear day, it's beautiful because you've got the City of London reflecting on the Thames, yeah, with a blue sky that's over as the lights are going down and the lights are coming out. And it's
So okay, right. So a question, Steve. What time? Because I want specifics here. Or what time are we in London Bridge? And we're seeing.
I do right. So if we're doing it in the winter, in the heart of winter, you can do that from about 3:45, 3:30, 3:45 in the afternoon. And obviously, as time goes on, so with spring, you probably want to do it. You're probably talking about meeting up at about 4:30, 5 o'clock as the times are going out. Yeah. So your best time to do it is without doubt, and I've just literally put a video up about a week or two ago, which is the walk that we're talking about, but I've actually done it in reverse.
I'll check that out.
So check that out, and you'll see some of the amazing views that you can get and do that. So we're back on the walk. We're back on Bankside. We now go to Blackfriars. So we walk underneath Blackfriars Bridge, which is a massive railway station which actually spans the whole of the Thames. So we're walking through there. And as you walk through Blackfriars, what you'll notice is between the two bridges, which is the road bridge and also the railway bridge, there are some concrete pillars going across the Thames. And these are the old pillars which used to support the old Blackfriars Bridge before they knocked that down in the late 1800s and built the new Blackfriars Bridge and the Blackfriars Station that's going there. So once again, history just sitting there, which they've never taken away, but they're pillars. And once again, so many people jog past these things without actually realizing it. The next bit you come to is what's called the Oxo building on the South Bank. And this is what's called Gabriel's Wharf. Now, Gabriel's Wharf is an area of London, and you're starting to move now to the South Bank. So we've done Bankside, we're now moving into South Bank, and we've just walked underneath Southwark Bridge, which is another fantastic bridge, which had railways coming in and out of it, which has got crests and motto medals and various other bits and pieces on the bridge in all colour. And now we're at Gabriel's Wharf, which once again has an amazing array of street cafes, street food that you can go and get. Okay, so don't worry, we've done this as a really slow walk. So if we've had food at London Bridge, don't worry, because
so this is like it's only a few minutes, right? So I've still got my coffee, yeah.
No, don't worry about it. We've had that because we've been just pondering round. All right, we're going to go for an incredibly slow walk so we can get some more food in this place, Gabriel's Wharf.
Brilliant.
And this, if the tide is out, has the most amazing beach in London because it's pure sand. And in fact, what happens at the beach at Gabriel's Wharf, often you get sand sculptures down there doing all of their stuff in the sand, which is absolutely incredible. Lots of dog.
What's that?
So this is Gabriel's Wharf. When the tide goes out, it is pure sand, the beach.
Yeah, but you were saying you can see.
So you've got sand sculptures down there. So you've got people that will create sculptures in the sand.
Wow.
So for tourists, it's incredible.
Oh, okay.
When I went down, I remember going down there and someone had done an armchair, and they'd also done a settee sculptured out of the sand.
Wow.
It's absolutely incredible. If you go down there in the summer, it is just alive with people doing all sorts of stuff down. But once again, you would not put money on having a beach in the Thames. It goes down, and having access to it as well. Because as you go along, of course, they've got all the railings to keep it safe, and you've got to find that. Now, the other interesting bit is there's a causeway in front of the Oxo Tower at Gabriel's Wharf as well. We don't know how far that dates back, but that causeway was there to get boats in and out for Gabriel's Wharf. And we know it's at least 200 to 300 years old. So once again, when the tide is out, you can walk that causeway. It's just there. But again, when the tide's in, you wouldn't see it, wouldn't appreciate it. So that gives you the idea. So you get to Gabriel's Wharf, you've got the food, you've got more drink, you've got more beach to go down. But once again, also, you've got more spectacular views of across the Thames to the north bank of the Thames as well. As you come around the corner from Gabriel's Wharf, then you start getting the classic views because you're now in front of the Royal Festival Hall. You've now got the classic views of the London Eye, the Houses of Parliament, which is coming up. But then you've got the views back the other way of the City of London. So you're now pretty much between the two, and you're now walking towards Waterloo Bridge, which is just before you get to the London Eye, but you're starting to see these things come into the London skyline. So
are these things in front of us, or can we just see?
They're in front.
Oh, okay. So we can
you'll
actually
see
like
them,
they're there.
you'll see them off in the distance, but
Oh, okay.
they're still quite close. Yeah, they're literally about a 5-minute walk away.
Oh,
But
okay. Wow.
then you've got the Royal Festival Hall, all right by your side as you're walking past it. And the incredible thing about the Royal Festival Hall is it's a lot big skateboard park that they've put down underneath there. So actually, if you want to watch some of the skateboarding, then you've got that's coming up.
Oh, brilliant.
So you can see people in it. So you've got a real mix. You've got a mix of culture, you've got a mix of food, you've got a mix of views, but you've got a mix of modern life with the Oxo building that's there, but also with history as well. And that has probably got to be the classic walk. If you're going to do anything, it's free. And it's literally 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the pace that you want to take. But you could just take in so much going down there.
Just going through that. That is brilliant. That I see. I really want to do. You're getting me excited now, Steve, because I really want to do
Sort
this.
it.
This is
Got to
brilliant.
sort this.
We will sort this. I can't wait for Boris to go. You know what? Guess what, guys? You can do whatever you want now. And when that happens, I'm going straight down to London. I'm going to get my first train to London. I'm going to meet you, and we're going to do it because it sounds brilliant.
Coffee and
Just
food.
the history of it all.
Coffee and food on me, and we'll point stuff out.
Oh, honestly, I'd love it. I would love it. And I'm a student, so I'm taking any free food I can get.
Oh, absolutely. And some of the classic views, when you're looking back across the city, you can see the monument. Now, the monument was put up just after the fire of London in 1666. It still stands. You can just about see the top of it. You can see the golden ball of flame above the buildings, but that still stands. And actually, if you wanted to get across to the north side of it, you can still climb the monument when it's open. 315 steps takes you up. Fantastic views across London. And my other tip that I'm just going to leave is there is the Sky Garden. Now, in London, there is a building that looks like it's called the Walkie Talkie. Okay. But actually, at the top of it, before the pandemic, you could get in there and you could go up the top. You can go in for free. Now, here's the tip. If you were there before 10 o'clock in the morning or after 6 o'clock at night, you don't have to book. You can literally turn up and go straight up the lift. So what I used to do was get there at 7:15 in the morning because it opened at 7 o'clock. There's no problem getting in. You take the lift to the 35th floor and the views over London are remarkable. If you have a look, you'll see some videos of the views, but you are right by the side of the Tower of London. So you're looking into the Tower of London. You're looking at Tower Bridge. You're looking across London Bridge and you're looking across the whole London skyline. And if you've got a clear day to do this, not only that, you can see out as far as Wembley Stadium. You can see the arch of Wembley Stadium and out and around. So you can see the Olympic Park. You can see Alexandra Palace. You can see Crystal. You can see the whole lot from there. And once again, it's a freebie. But I'm telling you this, so we keep this to ourselves. It's our secret, okay? For your podcast. Okay. It's our secret. If you get up there,
Steve Atkins, exclusive.
Get your backside in gear, get up there, just wait for it all to open so we know, what the world looks like after the pandemic. But one of my favorite bits is you get up there, go grab a muffin and a coffee and all the rest of it, and you can stay up there. Now, the Sky Garden itself not only gives you fantastic views, but it is a garden itself. So when you go inside, you've got palm trees, you've got birds of paradise, you've got all sorts of things, and you can walk around the whole top of the structure. So when you look at the Sky Garden and you look from the outside at this big, tall building, you are right at the top of this thing looking out.
Wow.
It gives you an amazing
view. You see everything.
You see everything, and you are bang in the center of London, and it's free.
That is brilliant. And it's free. That is a favorite. After food, that is my favorite F word.
See, London is expensive if you don't know how to do it. If you know where you're going, what you're doing, you can do so much. And there's other roof gardens that you can go to as well, which we can cover other times in the city.
I mean, I've never even seen a roof garden, to be honest.
This one is key. And you're undercover, so it doesn't matter what the weather's doing, but you want a nice clear day so you can see out. Because if you've got a cloudy, drizzly day, it's not so good. Because if you've got the Shard, if I remember right, it's about £30 a ticket. So that takes you up, and I think it takes you up to something like the 74th floor. Yeah. So you get double the view around London. This gives you a really good aerial view. But if you go to the Sky Garden, that's the one.
Have you gone up to the Shard?
No, I haven't gone up to the Shard, but it's one of the things I do want to do, just to go and capture the view, go and see what it's like, but also capture the view on camera as well.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, I want to. So if you do that, hopefully you do a YouTube video on that, and then Yeah,
Definitely.
I will leave
Yeah.
Steve's, like I said in the intro, Steve's link in the description. It's a great YouTube channel. I watched a video last night actually. It was on what to do in London in 2021. Something like that. That was the title, and I just loved it. I just loved the fact that it was all about London and sort of exploring it. And sort of, I mean, we're nearly the time's nearly over, which I mean, it's gone really quick to be honest.
That's gone mad.
I
I
know
can't believe how
it's
quick
crazy.
that's
And
gone.
we were talking before this as well,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
crazy. I sort of the last sort of thing that I want to ask you, Steve, is why London? Why is London the greatest city in the world?
So I've been really lucky. I've travelled to a few places, and for me, London has that balance of history. It has that balance with now, the here and the now, the modern aspect of it, and it also has that balance of completely different cultures. So you can go to the Chinese quarter, the Italian quarter. You can go to all different aspects of it. It's got everything there. Um, I was lucky as a child. I spent a lot of time in London, going around London, getting to know London. And it's something that I now share with my children, and they love it as much as I do. And it's that whole point that you can walk from one place to another. So sometimes, and actually in a lot of cases, it's a lot quicker to walk than it is to go down onto the tube, get the train, and then come back up again. Because some of these stations are just so close to each other,
Yeah.
but they don't seem on the underground. So everything is so close, and everything is there to be discovered. So whatever it is, it's there. It's all in one place, and it never stops amazing me. You know, where are we at the moment? We're about 170 videos in, and I've got loads more things that we want to do, loads more things that we want to cover. And the community is now engaged to give me ideas of things that they want us to cover that we haven't covered before. So it just keeps growing. Just
100%. I mean, it's I honestly I can't wait, like I said. And just to sort of go through with what we're doing. I mean, I've got loads of notes here because I've been writing it down. So we're either gonna go 3:45 during winter or 4:30 during like spring, summertime.
Depending where the time, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, depending what time sort of zone time, depending what season we're in.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're gonna London Bridge, the South Side Borough Market, and then we're gonna have a coffee / a bit of food. And then we're gonna go South Bank side. Am I right? And then that's where the tide goes out, and we can see some beaches and the Globe Theatre as well.
Exactly. And I haven't even mentioned Golden Hind that we're going to walk past as well, which is there, so you can see that. And also Winchester Palace, which is an old palace, medieval palace, where the remains are still there, which we're going to walk past as well as Clinker's Gate, which is one of the old jails around on the South Bank, which you can see from there as well.
Even more
and
stuff.
so, and so many other things.
So many more other things as well. Then we're going to go to Waterloo Station, did you say? Yeah. And then we're going to end up seeing, as we go to Millennium Bridge, I think you said, St. Paul's Cathedral. And then after that, Blackfriars. Where we're going to be in Gabriel's Wharf, which is on South Bank. So before we were on South Bank side, now we're on South Bank. And we're going to see sand sculptures, which I'm really looking forward to. Those sound quite cool. And then we're going to be able to see the House of Parliament from Waterloo Bridge, etc. And then we're going to go to the Sky Garden, and we're going to go up that walkie-talkie thing. We're going to get that for free because, obviously, free stuff is great.
No, you wait.
Exactly, and it's going to be brilliant. I mean, that's brilliant, Steve. I've loved it. I can't wait for us to do it. Have you got anything to plug in the last minute? I'll invite you to another one so we can end this.
Listen, I haven't, but all I just want to say is thank you, Tarek. I really, really enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Love being on your podcast. Really enjoyed it and just appreciate it, buddy. Really do.
Brilliant. And that's it. It was really great, like I said, speaking to Steve, having a chat with him and just hearing about his passion for London, and all the food places that we are going to go to. You know what? I promise, this is my promise, right? We're going to do this at least by, in 2021, at least in 2022, sorry. I'm going to vlog it. Yeah, I'm going to be a YouTube vlogger as well. And I can't wait to do that because I actually have, like, I'm not going to be like embarrassed doing that. I'm more than happy to hold a camera to my face and pretend that I could just pretend to everyone that I'm a famous YouTuber and be like, yeah, I've got like 500,000 subscribers. And then, when I don't. But anyway, we'll do it and it'll be great and whatever. So in the comments, please do let me know, whether you enjoyed this sort of format, whether you'd like to see something similar, whether you want to see the Wednesday shorter videos, etc., etc. Although me rambling on, I probably made it like an hour, like the other episodes. So it's just another episode, isn't it? Anyway, like I said, if you do enjoy it, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Like, and you can tell I cringe out when I say that because I close my eyes. I don't know why I do that. I just do it. Anyway, yeah. So make sure you do that. Follow me, myself, and Hopefully You podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Rio Tariq Ahmed on Instagram and on Twitter. And yeah, on Sunday, another episode. It's going to be a short one again, but it's going to be with Alex. She is a entrepreneur. She dropped out of Harvard, the college. I don't know what the full name is actually, but she dropped out of Harvard, right? Because she wanted to pursue her dreams as an entrepreneur, and she wanted to create a platform that allows us to be social in an ever constant antisocial environment that we seem to be in, right? Which, if that interests you, make sure you check it out. Well, when it comes out, make sure you check it out. It will be released on Sunday, like the normal episodes are. But other than that, thanks for your time, everyone. Until next time.